I read Ali Abdaal's new book, Feel Good Productivity, and in this vlog, I'm testing out 5 of his productivity hacks to see if they actually help increase my productivity. I'm sure the star of today's video needs no introduction. If you're someone who is interested in productivity, content creation, living a fulfilled life, if you hang out on YouTube, then you probably know who Ali Abdaal is. Ali Abdaal is a former practicing doctor. He's a productivity YouTuber, and now he is a published author. Since at the end of 2023, he released his first book, Feel Good Productivity. It's been described as a much needed antidote to hustle culture, which obviously is right up my alley since I'm all about soft discipline and sustainable productivity. So at first I was thinking I would read the book and share my thoughts in like a book review style video. After reading the book, I realized that Ali included like 54 productivity experiments to try out. And I thought it would be much more fun to take you guys along for like a day in my life where I test out a few of those experiments. And today is a great day to try some of them out because I actually have a lot to get done today, and honestly I feel a little overwhelmed about it, so hopefully these experiments actually work and make me have a really productive day. And of course I'll be sharing some of my takeaways and learnings from the book as we go. First up on my list of things to do is we have to go to a doctor's appointment, and I'm a little annoyed that on a day where I have a lot to check off my to-do list, I have to stop what I'm doing and drive to the doctor. I think one of the experiments will help me reframe how I'm looking at this, so let's meet up in the car. So basically the premise of Ali's book is that we can be more productive when we feel good, and part 1 is all about how to feel better and even how to feel better about doing stuff that you might see as not so fun. Ali sections the book into 3 parts, and part 1 is all about how we can actually do stuff to make us feel better or approach our work in a way that makes it feel lighter and more energizing. And he talks about 3 energizers: play, power, and people. So chapter 1 centers around the idea that if we can incorporate more play into our lives, we will be more energized. Because think about it, when you're a kid, all you do is play all the time and you never want to stop playing because playing energizes you. So he talks about ways that we can make adult things feel more like play. Like I was saying before, it kind of feels like just another chore to have to go to the doctor when I already have so many things to get done today. And usually I would kind of get like an attitude on a drive like this, and that's not really good because when you view something as a chore, it makes you tired after doing it. And I need to keep my energy up so that I can get other stuff done when I get back home. So I'm gonna try one of the experiments from this chapter, which is find the fun. And in this experiment, Ali says that basically he would like put a sticky note on his computer whenever he was about to study or had some work to do, and the sticky note would say, what would this look like if it were fun? And for me, I'm thinking about this on this drive, and honestly, if this were fun, I would get to have a car concert. Fun fact, I love Hamilton and I know basically every word of the soundtrack, so I'm just gonna vibe out to some Hamilton while I drive to this doctor's appointment. See if you can spot him, another immigrant coming up from the bottom. Wanted to do what you did, graduate into and join the revolution. He looked at me like I was stupid. I'm not stupid. Only 19, but my mind is older. These New York City streets get colder. I shoulder every burden, every disadvantage I've learned. I am not throwing away my shot. Ayo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. For the first time, I'm thinking past tomorrow. I am not throwing away my shot. Do you want me to hold the door open? Strangely, old man just the same. Is he in Jersey? After the war, went back to New York. And I practiced law. I practiced law. Burr worked next door. You simply must meet Thomas. can write rhymes, but you can't write mine. Okay, honestly, that really did work. You guys saw I get really into my Hamilton, so now I just feel like instead of it being I had to go do something that I didn't feel like doing, like I got to have a little Hamilton concert in the middle of the day. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have to go to the doctor. So now this just felt like a fun little break in the day, and I'm definitely energized and ready to get to work once I get inside, except I'm a little hungry, so.
I'm really okay, yeah.
This experiment from chapter 2 is going to come in real handy right now because I have a new project at work that I have to draft a presentation for. Chapter 2 explores how to use power as an energizer, and not like power over other people, but just the feeling of being empowered in your life and your work and what you do. Some of the experiments in this chapter focus on how to take ownership or how to level up your skills, but I'm gonna try out this one called the confidence switch. Honestly, I'm not feeling super confident in my ability to do a good draft of this presentation, but Ali's approach is that sometimes we don't actually have to feel confident. Sometimes it's enough to just think, how would I approach this if I did feel confident? And just do that. This is just a draft of a presentation, and it's gonna go through a couple more rounds of revision. So my goal isn't to get it perfect on the first try, it's just to get a draft done. I wonder if other people who are more junior in their career can relate to this, but for me, when I get a new assignment at work, I usually have an idea of how to approach it. I'm just not confident that my idea of how to approach it is the right way to approach it. But it's better to have something for people to react to than to have nothing at all. So if I did feel confident in my ability to do this successfully, I would just do the draft how I think it should be done in my head. I already have an idea of what I would do for the outline, and I have an idea of how the presentation would flow. So I'm just gonna do that, because if I were confident, that's what I would do. I would just execute what's already in my head instead of spending time thinking like, well, is this the right way to go? So I'm gonna try to do the draft with this approach and see if it takes me less time than it normally would. Okay, that still took a couple of hours to do, but I did have meetings in between, and usually I would have stalled so much longer, and I had literally noticed myself, you know how you're working on something and then suddenly you're distracted? This time when that happened, I was like, why am I distracted, or why do I feel like doing something else now? And I realized it happened every time I got to a point in the presentation where I wasn't sure how to go about something or how to lay something out, or when I was stuck between two options, like should this be 3 columns or 4 or something like that. I feel like while I was writing this, each time I got stuck, I was like, well, what would I do if I was confident? Oh, well, I would just write out both of the ideas. Oh, I would just go with the idea that I have in my head, even if I'm not completely sure about it, because I can just discuss it with someone later. Like, not everything is an existential crisis. So I actually am going to use that experiment a lot in my work life, because that was kind of a game changer. It didn't feel like as big of a lift as doing these usually does. So we're 2 for 2 on these experiments. I was gonna say this is my favorite experiment, but the other one was also fun, but maybe it was fun because I was listening to Hamilton. But I guess that's the point. Okay, let's move on to part 2 of the book, which is about how to rid yourself of procrastination. It's now late afternoon, it's 5 o'clock. I've had a few meetings, got a few things done, and this is usually the time of day where I'm like, let me take a break. And then I scroll for 5 minutes, and then it turns into an hour, and then get really into random tasks that weren't even on my to-do list for the day, and suddenly it's 9 p.m. All of this is usually just a way that I procrastinate the second half of my to-do list. And Ali says that there's 3 main blockers for procrastination. There's uncertainty, there's fear, and there's inertia. Chapter 4 focuses on how to deal with uncertainty, and I have a feeling that the reason I procrastinate later on in the afternoon is because I have more uncertainty, because I experience increasing levels of decision fatigue earlier in the day. So any ambiguity in tasks, I'm just like, let me just not do it instead. Right now, I need to send out an agenda for a meeting that I have to hold, and I've never held this type of meeting before with these people, so I'm not really sure how the meeting is gonna go, and therefore like what I should write on the agenda or what these people expect to have on the agenda. It's a small thing. Like, it won't take me long to do, but it's something that normally I'd be like, let me just put it off because I'm not exactly sure. There's also a limited time for the meeting, and I have a lot of potential things that I want to talk about, and I'm not really sure like how to prioritize all of them. I wonder if other people who have to do stuff like this at work like ever feel this way for small tasks that should be small, but feel like you have to make so many decisions when you're doing them. But instead of procrastinating this time, I'm gonna try one of the experiments Ali included in this chapter, which is commander's intent. So basically, I think this is like a military thing. The whole idea of commander's intent is in the military, like, you know what the intention of the mission was, what the desired outcome was, and then you can change the how or the execution of the plan as long as you are changing it with the intention and the desired outcome in mind. So obviously I'm not, and Ali also is not in the military, but he basically said like we can use this in our everyday lives to remove uncertainty by getting really clear on what the purpose of a task is and what the desired outcome of the task is. So before I start writing the agenda, I'm just gonna write down my intention and desired outcome for the meeting. Okay, wow. So after writing the intention, I realized I kind of have like 3 intentions or desired outcomes for the meeting, and the potential things that we can cover in the meeting like fall in those 3 categories. So now I know for the agenda, I'm gonna try to just have 3, one that aligns with each of the intentions. And since there's not that much time, if we only hit those 3, I'm good. And then I'll write maybe a backup ones for if time allows for them, but if not, we'll just hit on those 3. So now this seemed much easier, and I'm basically gonna be done with this agenda in 2 seconds. Okay, I am getting a little tired, but there's just a couple more things left on the to-do list. So we're gonna use 2 more experiments to finish the rest of this. Chapter 6 talks about inertia as a blocker for procrastination. Inertia is Newton's whole things at rest like to stay at rest, and things in motion will continue in motion. And sometimes the hardest part is just getting started when you haven't started something, and I definitely feel that. So one experiment that Ali says can help with inertia is reducing environmental friction, which is what I'm doing right now. Usually I would just sit on the couch until I felt like I had energy to do whatever last task was on my to-do list. I would never get the energy for it, and I would just put it as the first thing I do tomorrow. I need to film some videos for my mom's nonprofit, and instead of sitting on the couch until I got more energy, I just decided I'm gonna set everything up. If after I set everything up, I still feel tired and I wanna sit down for a minute, I can, but I feel like having everything already in place will help me get the energy that I need to just start. The hardest part is definitely just setting up. If I had to do my makeup, that might have been the last barrier that I could not get over. Let me record these really quickly so we can move on to the final thing on the to-do list today. Okay, last on the list is grocery shopping, because I cannot spend another day with my fridge looking like this. There is literally nothing in here. Chapter 3 is all about how people are energizers and how we can utilize the people around us in order to feel more energized and get more done. And the experiment I'm gonna try right now is the Find Synchronicity one. And it's basically like, even if you don't work with other people on something, just knowing that you're in synchronicity with them can sometimes help to energize you, because you just feel like you're in it with someone besides just yourself. I'm gonna phone my bestie Kiara. She is in law school, and a lot of times we just like talk to each other about how tired we are or how much stuff we had to do for the day. And I feel like if I talk to her and I'm like, oh my God, I had so much to do today and I still have to do this, like, it'll just help me get a little bit of pep in my step, and also I get to like catch up with her. What do you think will happen?
What are you eating?
Yeah, I'm eating rice and salmon because I didn't want to go on an empty stomach. Too dangerous.
Good idea.
No.
I said, wait, take my picture.
The video, so I won't take a picture. Okay, that one did not work. There's no way that I'm going to the grocery store right now. After I got off the phone with my bestie, I ate a little bit and was on my phone and watching Gilmore Girls some more. And I just was like, you know, it's 7 o'clock. I did a lot of stuff today. There's no reason that I need to go to the grocery store right now. The fridge can be empty until the morning. I'll just go first thing tomorrow morning. So this experiment didn't work. I do think that maybe if it was a different time of day, or I didn't already do so many things, or if it was a different kind of task that didn't require me to go outside in 30-degree weather, it might have worked. So maybe it's the circumstances and not the experiment. I definitely would give it a try again another time. But still, 3 out of the 4 experiments worked really well for me today. And I definitely am gonna use those experiments for helping me with procrastination in work and getting like more done like for my job. And I also want to try implementing more experiments from the book, because remember there's like 54. And we didn't even get to part 3, which is about like sustainable productivity and basically how to avoid burnout. If you guys would be interested in me going more in depth in part 3, let me know and I'll do a follow-up video to this one. I really enjoyed these experiments, and I also enjoyed Ali Abdaal's book a lot. Shout out to him for writing a book. I just think anyone that writes a book is super cool, because I would like to be an author one day. If you liked this video, you might like this other video I made on my weekly reset routine for increased productivity. So I'll leave that here for you. And otherwise, I will see you next week. And in the meantime, remember to spend time creating. Bye.